Today, we're diving deep into the world of egg donation, a fascinating space where science, hope, and some serious economics all collide. And right at the center of it all is a really interesting question about value, one that starts with a pretty significant pay gap. And this, right here, is the core question. If you're an intended parent trying to navigate this world, you're going to see a huge price difference between a first-time donor and an experienced one. So what exactly justifies that premium? What are you really paying for? Let's break it down. Okay, so let's get real with the numbers for a second. A first-time donor? They might get somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. But an experienced donor? Wow. Their compensation can easily double, starting at $15,000 and just going up from there. Now, that is not a small bump. It's a massive leap, and that tells you something really important about how they're valued. To really get why there's such a difference in price, we first have to be crystal clear on what experienced even means. Because, spoiler alert, it's about way more than just having done this once before. So, experienced, in this context, is kind of like a certification. It's a stamp of approval. It means the donor has already gone through a complete cycle and, this is the key part, had favorable outcomes. In other words, in this world, experience equals proven success. And favorable outcome isn't some vague idea. No, it breaks down into very specific biological results. We're talking about a donor who has shown she responds well to the hormones, produces a good number of high-quality eggs, and, in many cases, her donation has already led to a successful pregnancy. This isn't a guess, it's a documented track record. Okay, so how does that track record actually translate into a bigger paycheck? Well, it really boils down to 4 key reasons. The number one reason, by far, is predictability. Think about it. With a first-time donor, everything is a question mark. How will she react to the meds? What will the egg quality be like? An experienced donor just erases a huge amount of that uncertainty. So intended parents aren't just paying for eggs, they're paying for confidence. And you really can't overstate the stakes here. A single IVF cycle is an enormous emotional and financial investment. When a cycle doesn't work out, it is absolutely devastating. So when a family chooses a donor who's done this before and been successful, they're trying to buy a little more certainty and protect themselves from that potential heartbreak. The second reason is all about execution. The egg donation process is this incredibly demanding medical routine. There's a super strict schedule of injections, appointments. It's a lot. For a first-timer, it can be totally overwhelming. But for an experienced donor, it's familiar territory. And the risk of error is no joke. A single missed injection, just one mistake, could derail the entire cycle. We're talking thousands of dollars and months of emotional prep all down the drain. So an experienced donor's know-how is almost like a form of insurance against those kinds of preventable disasters. All right, the third factor is all in the head. It's psychological. Donating eggs is an intense emotional journey. A donor has to be ready for the physical side, the hormonal shifts, and the really deep ethical questions. An experienced donor has already walked that path and come out the other side. And that reassurance is huge. Intended parents are placing this incredible amount of trust in their donor. Just knowing she's already been through this intense process and is way less likely to have second thoughts or back out, well, that provides a kind of peace of mind that is truly priceless. And the fourth and final piece of this puzzle, well, it comes down to the simple, classic laws of economics, supply and demand. It really does boil down to this simple formula. You have a very, very small number of donors who have that proven track record. And because that proven success is so incredibly valuable, the demand for them is through the roof. And that demand can get even more specific, even more intense. For example, certain backgrounds, like Asian donors who are highly sought after for cultural reasons, or donors from top universities, are in even higher demand. This just adds another layer to the compensation, driving it up even more for donors who are both experienced and have these other desirable traits. So if you put it all together and look at it side by side, the picture becomes crystal clear. Across the board, from predictability to risk to readiness, an experienced donor offers a definite advantage. That unknown variable of a first-timer gets replaced with a proven one. And that, right there, is the fundamental difference the market is paying for. Now, a totally fair question to ask is, do repeat donors get a bit of an easier path? Since they've been approved before, do they get to skip some of the steps? And the answer to that is a hard no. To make sure the donor is healthy and that the cycle will be high quality, every single donation requires a brand new, full-on medical and psychological screening. There are absolutely no shortcuts. Past success doesn't get you a pass on present-day medical clearance. Okay, so given how valuable these experienced donors are, you might be thinking they could just donate over and over again, right? Well, there are some really important ethical and medical limits on that. The standard recommendation is a lifetime maximum of 6 donation cycles. Now, this limit is there to protect the long-term health of the donor, which is crucial. But it also has an economic side effect. It makes those proven, available donors even rarer and therefore even more valuable. So, when you pull all of these different threads together, what's the big takeaway? What's the bottom line here? At the end of the day, it comes down to this: that higher compensation for an experienced donor isn't just a reward for something she did in the past. It's a payment for what that success predicts for the future. It's for a higher chance of a healthy baby, for less risk, for dependability, and for the incredible peace of mind that comes with a proven track record. And that really leaves us with this final thought to chew on. For intended parents who are on this incredibly difficult journey, one that's so often filled with uncertainty and disappointment, the premium they pay is for so much more than just eggs. It's the price of predictability. It's the price of confidence. And ultimately, it's the price of hope.